Watch George R.R. Martin's most recent interview at New York Comic Con 2025 in just 10 minutes.
I'm tired. I've been walking around and going to things, and this is huge. Yes, I am the first person ever to attend New York Comic Con. I did. It was 1964. Comic Con was down in Greenwich Village at some sort of union hall, just one afternoon, and they were advertising in the fanzines at the day, and it was $1.50. So I saw it. I was living in Bayonne, New Jersey, but I sent in my $1.50, and then when they printed, here to members, it's #1, George Martin. So. Well, it had my name published in the list of who had joined. That was pretty cool. And it was. I was in either junior high or high at that time. I'd have to look it up. But it was 1964, and I was writing for comic fanzines and things like that. And of course, I was a comic fan, so I had to go to this and see. In New Jersey, it was a 45-minute a bus ride, and then I wandered through Greenwich Village till I found a place, and it was cool. It was like one room, and there were like 4 people in the back, folding tables and cardboard boxes of the comic books they were selling. That was the dealer's room, and there were a bunch of folding chairs and a little podium at the front where the guests spoke. Some of the guests were professional artists and writers from the Golden Age, which had been before. I didn't really know most of them, but they were interesting. But Stan Lee did not come himself, but he sent his secretary, Fabulous Flo Steinberg. So Fabulous Flo gave a very amusing speech. But the big news for me was that Steve Ditko attended, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And he was a shy guy. He didn't give a speech or anything that I recall, but he was friendly with the people who wanted to talk to him. So I came up, and I loved Ditko's work. He was, and Spider-Man. Spider-Man's great, too. The thing about Ditko, Ditko was a great artist in many ways, but his characters had faces. Even the best-known, most popular, like DC character, they all had the same face. They were a handsome guy. They had different hair colors and all that. But, you couldn't tell. You take the uniforms off them, you couldn't tell the Flash from Green Lantern. They're the same face. But damn, the Ditko characters all had faces, even not just the heroes and the villains, but the supporting characters and the people. That was so great. And he created a New York City, I don't mean to be putting down some of the other artists that did. They all were great, but you look at the Flash with Carmen Infantino, and it was like the cleanest city that had ever existed in the world. There were all these tall buildings in the background that were like orange or yellow, and the Flash was running in the foreground. And then you went to Ditko's world, Ditko's New York City, and there were these water towers on top of rooftops, all of which were leaking, and there were piles of garbage, and there were dumpsters, and it was so alive. And Doctor Strange was even weirder when he started doing that. Doctor Strange's house with that window. I wanted that window. He was amazing. But an odd guy. I had a nice conversation with him. I said, I love your work, and I love Doctor Strange. Spider-Man's great, but I love Doctor Strange most of all. And he said, yeah, Doctor Strange is my favorite, too, which was great. And then he signed a manila envelope for me, which was nice. I don't know where it is, but I probably have it somewhere because I never throw anything away. And that was the first New York City Comic-Con. I do hope to find it, sometime. And I went to the following years, too, which was much bigger. And just in 1 year, it had gotten like 10 times the size, and there were many more professionals there. Bob Kane showed up and spoke. He was not a popular speaker. He walked in there and he got like a standing ovation from all these fans who were so thrilled to meet Batman's creator. But by the end of his speech, nobody really cared much. But Jim Steranko showed up there. Ooh. And nobody knew who Jim Steranko was. He was this totally unknown guy. Came, he got a table, and then he showed out this art. And like five publishers tried to hire him. His art was so good and so different. That was the 65 convention, though. 64 was much smaller and all of that. Much more humble. Things have changed a lot. 64 New York City was the first Comic Con. There had been science fiction cons for a long time, but it was by no means the last. Then suddenly a lot of people started doing it. I'm not sure if New York didn't go on continuously. I think there were gaps, and it had to be reinvented or something like that. But I remember by the 80s when I was out in L.A. working for television, more Twilight Zone, Beauty and the Beast. there was the San Diego Comic-Con going, so I would travel down and attend that. It was certainly much bigger than the New York I attended, teeny tiny, yeah, but it was big for a long, long time. I think you guys have now caught them or something like that. I probably the Fever Dream, my vampire historical steamboat novel, which has a number of vampires in it. Those are probably my favorite vampires. Although, wait a minute, I have a lot of... I wrote a novella called The Skin Trade, which is my werewolf novella about, my lead character in that. He is a werewolf, but he's not a villain. He's not a bad guy. He's a werewolf collection agent. You better pay your bills or he's going to show up on you. But I loved, of course, I being an old guy, the monsters of my childhood were the Warner Brothers monsters. Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy. The Mummy was not my favorite. He was such a slow, bumbling monster. If you got caught by the Mummy, you deserved it. What is with zombies? Come on. And you shoot them in the head and they're dead. Vampires are much tougher. They can turn into a bat. They can turn into a mist. Well, I did think in Fever Dream and The Skin Trade, I played with the idea of vampires and werewolves sort of overlapping a little and mixing, because as I looked at the legends, it seemed clear that this was one legend that diverged, and according to who told it, and it became different critters. And but I always loved of the Warner Brothers monsters, the Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. Even a man who is pure at heart and says his prayers by night can become a wolf when a wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. And that movie, you're a young person, so you won't. That movie was considered like the hottest and sexiest. And you look at it now and say, what? Claude Rains was great. They lost Boris Karloff fairly early, and they had to bring in Glenn Strange to play the monster. And then, later on, many decades later, we started getting a whole different group of monsters, more science fictional monsters, and then later, which I don't like as well. I'm not a big fan of the serial killer monster. Freddy and Jason. Okay, fine, but give me the Wolfman any day. And the Blob was sort of fun. He was a little later, starring Stephen McQueen. Told his full name back then. He wasn't just Steve. And I think he was like 42 playing a high school kid, something like that. But the Blob, man, when it comes out of that movie theater, and that poor old guy, the first one who, he sees it, and then he's just a big blob by the time they find it. But yeah, that was a scary movie. There are a lot of science fiction monsters of the 50s, of course, a little later than the Universal generation, where some of them were kind of stupid. What the hell was the invasion of the Saucer Men or something? They came down in flying saucer and they had eyeballs on the back of their hands. I think they were vulnerable to light, so the teenage, it was always high school kids who got rid of them. They turned on the headlights on their car and all the monsters exploded. Being vulnerable to yellow was not much of an improvement, actually. Well, I like a lot of things by other people. And television is got some great stuff on it here. The last thing I finished, and I just finished watching this like 2 days ago, was like a mini-series, 6 episodes or so, about the Guinness Brewery, 1800s or early 1900s, and the Guinness founder has just died, and he has 4 children, and who's going to get the brewery? And it's fictionalized based on real
events,
incidents, and it's a period piece, so it's got, you got the Fenians and the Black and Tans and all the real stuff going on, but you also have the personal troubles of the Guinness heirs. I didn't know any of this story. Could be completely fake, but it was pretty good. It was well acted and all that, and of course they ended it on the total cliffhanger that I'm pissed about. They better do another series, because the way they ended it was, they used to have 39 episodes a season. Yeah, even when I was working on Beauty and Beast, we had 22 episodes a season. Now we're down to like 6. But still, I kind of miss sometimes. Find a show and you watch it 30 episodes a season, and then there's another season and another season, and you look back and you say, hey, I've watched 314 episodes of this gunslinger and his adventures. Addictive. I like that. I like regardless of the medium. I like Spider-Man. I like that there's hundreds and hundreds of Spider-Man and not just 6. I have frustrations frustrations with it too, I have to admit. I don't like retcons. I don't like reboots. You know, I'm following a character or a superhero or something for years, sometimes decades, and then they come and say, oh, no, none of that stuff actually happened. We're just going to start the whole thing all over again. That always annoys the hell. You do, but it's still frustrating.
Yes.
Frustrating. Peter Parker married Mary Jane. That's right. You can't undo these things, but they do nowadays. But what can you do?
If you like the video, please like and subscribe.